All right, we'll see if this works. Well, I had to do it from home today, guys. And you got to deal with my kids. And you got to deal with my kids. Okay. So hopefully my internet isn't too spotty here. Sometimes I don't have the greatest internet here, or at least connection. But hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can see me. And we'll, if you have any comments or you're having issues hearing or seeing me, let me know in the comments. I will try to jump onto my phone, anything like that. That might work a little bit easier when it comes to this, or maybe I'll even possibly try that now as we're getting into it. But what are we doing here today? So today's focus is all about what we're calling our Raw Fit office hours. So myself and or others are going to be on. We're going to start with every once a month. We may look to do it more frequently. We may do it where it's more every 2 weeks, possibly every week. What the purpose of it is we want to give you guys an opportunity to see other aspects of health and fitness, and get experience and guidance from other coaches and professionals and things like that we have. So we will we're going to be bringing on different coaches and different things, and what we'll do is we're gonna send out a poll or send out a note or anything like that for you to ask any questions that you may have when it comes to health, fitness, raw fitness in particular, anything that we do specifically, and just give you an opportunity to not only learn, get questions answered for you, but also the opportunity to just get supported, right? Sometimes we're going through the day to day, and we're trying to work on our health, and we're not quite sure how to go about doing all of it. So just getting that extra guidance and support is always very helpful, So before I kind of dive into some of the questions that I had sent to me, if you are watching specifically via Facebook, make sure comment and let me know if you're having issues hearing me, anything like that. If I need to, I'll jump over to my phone. I wanted to do this at the gym. I just wasn't able to be there tonight. So I wanted to at least make sure I was getting on. So if you're having issues, trouble hearing me, anything like that, just let me know. But I'm going to kind of dive into it here. Looks good. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. I'm going to move this over so I can watch, make sure. If anything does come up and you guys are having issues hearing me, anything like that, just let me know. But Karen, let me know that we should be good here. So I don't have a ton of questions that were sent in, but if you're on live and you do have some more questions, and feel free to ask or comment or anything like that. Or if you're even watching at a later date, feel free to comment. I fully anticipate, as we're getting into this kind of new thing, there's going to be, people aren't quite sure what to do or are comfortable asking questions, and that's fine. That's okay. That's kind of part of this process, but I'm hoping as you guys get more comfortable with things and you see how things work, you guys can ask away. And if it doesn't work for you guys, it doesn't work for you guys, but we want to provide any level of support that we can for you guys to feel successful in your health and fitness. So if you're struggling with anything, if anything's not working for you, here's your opportunity to talk one-on-one with myself or whomever's going to be on it at certain times, to kind of work through some of that. So one of the questions I had recently, and it kind of stems a little bit. Okay, thank you, Nikki. Is we get a lot of you guys, you're busy, right? You have kids, or you have high intense work situation, you've got family, like there's all these other, you got a social life, trying to figure out how do I focus on my health and fitness? How do I lose weight in particular with a lot of people? In how do I do that without sacrificing all these other things? Or how do I do it in terms of being able to do it without like a crazy amount of effort, right? Like nobody wants to spend all day every day focusing on their health and fitness, right? So what my kind of answer to that or way to, you know, focus on your health, focus on your fitness, focus on weight loss, and do it kind of with like a little less effort is, if you can get a good 3 to 4 days of workouts in at Raw, that's pretty good right there. Like that'll go a long way there. And then outside of that, like if you can do the couple things such as like, fasting isn't the primary goal of fasting isn't necessarily to lose weight, but it can be an indirect benefit, if you will, of fasting. So if you're at work and one thing that you could do is you can drink just nothing but water and like coffee throughout most of the day, and then fast until 12 or 1, maybe even upwards to 2 sometimes, and then just have like some protein, like just protein by itself for the most part, and then have kind of a whatever you want really for dinner. Just I would encourage to have protein in there. um if you do that right there, it's not necessarily the best option or the most healthy option, but it's something that you can do that's going to have some benefits to it. It's not going to be you probably hear my son crying. It's not going to be too detrimental, with things. It's not going to be super detrimental, but there is going to be some benefits to it. So my suggestion would be if you can figure out a way where you can do some extended periods of fasting. It'd be every day, but maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week. If you can focus on fasting throughout your day, and that with nothing but like water and caffeine, and then focusing on a little bit of protein after the fact, and a little bit of protein after, and then from there do from there just you can kind of eat whatever you want for your dinner then. But I would highly encourage breakfast. Now if you're want to make sure you're focusing on your health, right, then obviously you want a clean dinner. But for the most part, like getting ample amount of protein is huge, right? So if you have like that and maybe even a protein shake somewhere in between that, if it's like 1 o'clock and you have like the protein meal and you have like a protein shake, something like that, and then you have a good sized dinner, and then you're doing your 3 times a week workouts, like you can get pretty far along just from doing that. And it's, again, that's not the best approach out there. That's not my how do you lose weight the number one way. That's not it by any means. But if you're in a pinch, you're struggling, you got a bunch of stuff going on, you got kids, make it to the gym a few times a week, because there's unlimited benefits to that. And then just practice maybe some fasting, get a little protein in, and then have your dinner there. Like in a pinch, when in doubt, that can work. Again, I'm not claiming that that's the best option, but for those that have a lot of stuff going on, or they need this to be a little less effort focused, that would be my kind of suggestion in that scenario. So for those that ask that question, that would be my answer to that. The other question I had was like, how do I find a routine when I'm busy? It kind of coincides with the last one. Is the biggest thing is, this is going to sound cliche, but I know for me, when I'm, I'll work 80, 90 hours a week, many weeks. So like trying to find time to get things in can be difficult. But, if I have a meeting with one of the team members at Raw, right, or one of the coaches or whatever it is, like nothing's going to get in my way of doing that meeting, right? Like it's in my calendar, it's blocked off. It's there ready for me to do it. And I'm not gonna like move it out of the way, right? But for whatever reason, when we go to do workouts and things like that, we don't do that, right? So why can't we 2, 3, 4 times a week take 45 minutes, because all of us can, and say, I'm going to dedicate these 45 minutes in my calendar to getting some movement in, right? And, some people might hate to hear this, but like, you could, well, and I'll start with myself, right? Is, I hear this a lot is, well, I'm not a morning person, right? Well, I'm not a morning person either, but I've kind of taught myself to wake up at 3 or 4, usually between 4 and 5 most mornings, because I had to, right? Because that was the only way I was going to get everything done, still see my family, get my workouts in, do things like that. And I just said, I'm going to go to bed a little bit earlier. But for so long, I was a night owl. I was always up at night. I never woke up in the morning early like that. So, it's not so much that we're night owls or we're not morning people. It's just we haven't trained ourselves to be that, right? It's just like somebody that's a big fitness enthusiast, that the first day they ever worked out, they weren't a fitness enthusiast. Maybe they didn't like working out. Maybe, and then for whatever reason, they developed it became fun for them, or they found a program or a routine like this that was fun, that they they fell in love with. So it was easy for them to do. It has to be kind of the same way is, they that first day they didn't become a fitness enthusiast, but over time they did. It's the same thing with like, well, I'm not a morning person, but once you practice it, you can become that. So we tend to label ourselves a lot with like, I am blank, but none of us are when we say what that is. Like, I am unorganized, or I am this. Like, we're just labeling ourselves, because it's human nature to label ourselves, but that's not really true or accurate. We're never one same thing all the time. We just keep telling ourselves that. So we keep acting in accordance to what we believe as the truth, right? So, if it's the only time you can get it in is the morning, then practice it. Try waking up 15 minutes earlier, going to bed 15 minutes earlier. Figure out other ways that you can try to squeeze it in and do it. But my biggest suggestion with it is just put it in your calendar, block it off, and make it non-negotiable. If you do that 3 times a week, that's like 2 hours a week. And there's, I don't know what the number is off the top of my head anymore, but there's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whatever the math that ends up being, right? Is we're just saying like, get 2 of those in for movement. And, I think all of us can do that. And it's, and I mentioned it, it was very hard for me to wake up early originally, but once you practice it, it can really go a long way. The last question that I got was like, what do I do if I'm dealing with a lot of pain, or, when I first started, I had the knee injury. This person specifically was talking about, and certain things bother it. I'm not sure if I can do certain exercise or whatever it is. So, like, what do I do? So there's kind of 2 key components to, corrective exercise, if you will, is, well, there's kind of another point is, first, you can always avoid it, right? And this is a ego thing. This is a human nature thing. A lot of us, we get into a room of people or whatever it is, and we don't want to do the modification, or we want to challenge ourselves. Like, I can do it. But sometimes it'll just cause more harm than good. And there's a reason we give modifications, So first I would say is like, don't be afraid, or leave the ego at the door, and don't be afraid to do a modification. Who cares what anyone else is saying or thinking or looking at you or whatever, because I guarantee you they're not. Because they're probably feeling the same way you are, and dying and struggling and this and that during a workout, so I wouldn't overly worry about that. But when it comes like, what can you do, is the key areas, and I talked about it, and you guys should listen if you do deal with pain or arthritis or things like that. You should really listen to the podcast we did yesterday that we launched, dealing with pain and inflammation and things like that. But because I went a lot deeper into it, but essentially we talked about, there's different, every level of the joints within the body. So the ankles, and then the knees, and then the hips, and then the low back, and then the mid back, and then the neck, right? There's each one it goes like mobility, And then the next one's designed for stability. Good job, Nikki. We've talked about this, right? But we go from mobility to stability, right? So every other joint is one or the other. And what happens is the mobile based joints, so like the knees, the low back, you know, the neck even, tends to have a lot of issues because they're the state, or I'm sorry, those are the stability joints, not the mobility joints. So the knee, the low back, and the neck are stability joints, and they are designed to stabilize things, while the mobility joints, so like the ankles, the hips, the shoulders, the mid back, are all designed to be more mobile, right? Are supposed to do the movement, right? If you can see my shoulders moving, they're meant to move in all different directions, where like my knee is just meant to flex and extend, right? It's not meant to go left and right. But what happens is if you lack mobility in the other areas surrounding it, or the other joints surrounding it, you end up having issues in the stability joints because you can't get the mobility you're designed to have. So, if I go to squat and my ankles are restrictive, right? I lack mobility in my ankles, or I lack mobility in my hips. Well, now all of a sudden my knee's going to take too much pressure on it and get too much force through it. And I can't move it properly because I'm not getting the mobility as I squat down in my ankle or my hips. So now my knee ends up getting the negative impact from it, right? So my suggestion is, if you run into issues of some of these, look at the mobility by stability kind of joint complex situation and see if you can improve the mobility in some of those joints that are surrounding it. So you can do that through stretching, and you can do that through soft tissue work. So like massage or like foam rollers. So we have foam rollers for you guys to use at Raw. They're in the corner, kind of by where the coach stands, like right around on the other side of the supplements at Washington. And then I believe they're by the kettlebells over at Shelby. So grab one of those, have a coach walk you through how to foam roll the key areas. So like if your ankles bother you or your knee bothers you, foam roller your calves, your quad, like your thigh muscle, and your hips, right? Or even your inner thigh. Foam roll those first and then stretch them, and you'll be amazed at how much different your body feels. So when you're foam rolling, you want to go slowly over the muscle area, and then any spot that's tender or restrictive, you'll want to like stop there, relax, hold it there. It's kind of what massage therapy does, right? It helps breaks up a lot of the scar tissue, knots, adhesions, things like that, so your muscles can become more pliable, and then you stretch them after to get them back to their natural length. So that would be my biggest suggestion. If you're dealing with pain, look at the mobility versus stability joint structure of your body, and try to improve the mobility by foam rolling and stretching the areas around the mobile joints. So your ankles, your hips, your mid back, right? And your shoulders. If you can get more mobility through there from stretching and soft tissue work, do soft tissue first, then stretch after. You're gonna see a major difference there, and we can try to help you with that personally there. So Debbie, you got a question for me? If anyone else has a question as you're watching, feel free to comment in it below. I'm getting what can I do to have 80 ounces of water? So I think, Debbie, you're asking just like, what can you do to get more water in? There's a lot of different things that you can do, but I'll tell you some of the things that have worked for me specifically. So I do two things. I only do one now, but I used to do two to get it started with it. Is I put alarms in my phone. I would set alarms every 2 hours, or you can ask the guys and my coach to set up alarm or notifications to go off on your phone every 2 hours, just to say like, hey, get some water in. The second thing that I did that I still do is I have triggering events that I can't do X until I do Y. So for instance, I have two, oh, you're getting Charlie horses. So Debbie, let me clarify. Are you looking for, like, are you having issues getting more water in, like the 80 ounces of water in, or what else can you do besides the water for Charlie horses? Let me know exactly what you need there for that. but I'll just kind of go on that tangent, if you will, of the water, because it's something that I know a lot of people struggle with. Is the second thing is triggering events. So when I first wake up, I can't have any. I'm a caffeine guy. I can't have any caffeine until I've had, until I've had my 2 glasses of water. So it's like 32 ounces of water. So no matter what, I can't have my caffeine until there. I have a goal when I do my workout. I have to finish my water bottle by the time I'm done, right? So that's another goal. So right there, it's, I'm at 60 ounces just right there. And if I get just a little bit more, I'm good, So those are my 2 main triggering events that I do. Is anytime I go to do something work wise, like workout wise, I have to get mine in. And then, before I have my caffeine. So what I'll do is I'll put like a glass of water or a water in front of like my coffee pot because I physically have to move it out of the way in order to do that. And that's been really helpful. You could also like put it in front of your toothpaste, your toothbrush, and like, before I brush my teeth, I got to slam this thing of water. So, okay, Debbie. So I get 64 to 80 ounces of water, but still get Charlie horses. So, what I would suggest is looking at making sure you're getting enough vitamins and minerals, particularly minerals, right? So, things like I'm sure you've heard potassium, sodium, things like that. So you're more active now, right? You're working out, things like that. That's great. More times than not, there's 3 things that could be affecting Charlie horses. So one, it could be dehydration, right? So if you're consistently getting 64 to 80 ounces, it's probably not that. It depends on what else you're doing. Like if you're drinking a bunch of coffee, which is dehydrating, then it could still be dehydration. You probably need more water. What I always say, for every cup of coffee you have, you should have 1 cup of water just to level it out, to bring it back to 0. So if, for instance, if you drink 80 ounces of water, but you drink 40 ounces of coffee, really, you're probably only getting roughly 40 ounces of water in your day, because all the other 40 ounces are being used to break down the coffee and rehydrate yourself from that, different things there. So look at your caffeine intake first, especially your coffee. If you're getting water in, it's probably not that, and you're not overloading a ton of coffee. Then I would look at minerals. So actually, one of our supplements that we're launching is called Replenish. It's specifically to help things like this. It's to help for recovery. It's to help for electrolytes and hydration. It's there to help with things like Charlie horses. But what that does is it gives you the electrolytes and minerals to help so that you don't get those Charlie horses. So I would definitely look at getting, some minerals in, things like that. Another thing you could also do is put a little pinch of a Celtic or a Himalayan sea salt in your water, just a tiny pinch. Like, you shouldn't taste it. Maybe the texture is slightly different of the water, but that's about it. And then the third thing is kind of going back to my last thing I was talking about with the stretching, is a lot of times people are just very, very tight in their muscles. So they just need to be lengthened, and especially if they're one of those muscles that are very, very tight. So for instance, like the hamstrings, which is the back of the legs, or the calves, which is the lower back part of the leg. Both of those tend to be very, very tight on people. So now that you're working out and things like that, you could have a tendency for those to be cramping up and things like that. So it could be a combination of hydration, minerals or electrolytes in your body, or lack thereof, I should say, and tight muscles that are short. So what happens is your muscle fibers, when you start working out and start getting tight, they start pulling each other, and the nervous system is telling them to pull each other closer. So if I take my bicep and I go to squeeze it, right, I'm shortening this muscle. Those muscle fibers are grabbing each other and pulling each other closer, right? So what happens is if my biceps flex like this all day long, eventually this could start to cramp up, right? It needs to be stretched and lengthened back out. So it's kind of like, finally, right? So you could be dealing a little bit with that. So especially if it's in your lower legs and you're more active now, I would definitely recommend stretching your calves, stretching your hamstrings, stretching the areas that you're feeling kind of the Charlie horses in, getting a ton of water, or if you're getting a lot of coffee, get even more water. And then look into like our new supplement Replenish, which has electrolytes, hydration, and minerals in there. So that's the questions that I have for you guys. If you have any more, you're still watching, feel free to ask below. What we will also do if we don't get a lot of questions on these monthly calls is we'll bring some level of a topic to you guys. So next month we might be talking more about like how to do proper form. You're welcome, Debbie. How to do proper form on things. We'll probably have Cam on for that. So different opportunities there to learn a little bit more about that. But what I might do now is we had a lot of people asking about the supplements that we have. So these are our own supplements. We brought these in. We worked with people to build them, to create the formulas, different things there. They're the Raw Fitness brand, right? So we definitely back these and want to provide a high level of supplements for you. So what I'll do, and we'll probably do this every couple of weeks or every week, is we'll go over the different blends that we have and like what the benefits of are those so that we do. So before I get into that, I'll answer Kristen yours here. How much water should we be drinking during a workout? So Kristen, that's not quite a black and white answer for that. Everybody's going to be a little bit uniquely different, right? If I'm a 6'5", 250-pound male versus, a 5'6" woman that's, 150 pounds, like the needs are going to be much different, right? So it's not a complete black and white thing, but what I would suggest is try to aim for roughly half your weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 150 pounds, aim for 75 ounces of water. And then what I would suggest with that is try to get as much of that during your workout as possible. The one thing I would suggest though, for the morning and during your workouts, I know this might sound crazy, but I would actually recommend more like lukewarm water, because your body actually can't digest water or utilize water until it's gone down to body temperature. So what you'll see is if you ever drink cold water during a workout and then like your stomach sloshing around, you can probably hear it in there. It's because your body just has to warm it up before it can even use it. So the biggest thing, Kristen, that would be beneficial during your workouts is not so much how much you drink, but I would aim at least to, I would try to have more like lukewarm or warm. It doesn't have to be warm water, but like, not cold water, so that your body can actually utilize it. And then take half your body in ounces of water and aim to get a decent portion of that around your workouts. Kind of like what we talk about with carbohydrates, right? Like try to get a majority of your carbohydrates on your workouts, because that's when your body's going to utilize it the most. So Nikki, I don't drink any caffeine. Can I also use Energize as a pick-me-up at 1 p.m.? Absolutely. Yeah. So the biggest thing, Nikki, is you just have to, however your body responds to it, right? There is caffeine in it. So, it's a natural caffeine. It's from green tea. So you'll have to, just see how your body's responding to it. But, it's, if your body's fine with it, maybe start with like a little bit of a scoop and then, work your way up. But yeah, you to answer the question, absolutely you can at 1 p.m. I did it 2 days ago. But it's just make sure your body's responding to it fine and all that. The fact that you don't drink caffeine, I'd start a little bit less and then add from there. So all right, so I'll dive into a little bit of you won't overdose on caffeine, not at all. What I'll do is I'll go over the challenge bundle today and then any other ones. But if you have other questions on health and fitness or even some of these supplements, feel free to ask now. I'm here for the next 10, 15 minutes or so. So the first one is our protein. So we have two. We have they're both called lean, and then we have vegan lean. Right now we have chocolate and vanilla, and we will have a cinnamon one as well. This is the one of the simplest and most underutilized things for most of us. Is most of us don't get enough protein to maintain our muscle mass and to help lose body fat. So this is just such a simple thing that you could do. I do a scoop of protein sometimes to almost every single day. It just allows me to get 20 to 50 grams of protein in, and I'm good to go. And it's so easy on a busy schedule for me to just do it. So it just helps with recovery. It helps with improving your strength. It helps with your body composition, getting leaner, hence the name. And it just helps with your overall performance. So we have a whey protein one and a vegan protein. So, but that's pretty much what it is. It's a protein source there. The next one is our CLA. So our CLA is I can never pronounce it, but it's essentially it's a fatty acid that's found in like polyunsaturated fats. And what CLA has been shown to do is to block certain enzymes that causes fat cells to grow larger. So one thing is we all have the amount of fat cells that we have. When we become overweight or get larger and different things there, we add body fat to our bodies. It's not that we add more fat cells. What happens is the fat cells just get bigger, right? We have toxins. When toxins come to our body, they get stored in fat cells, so they become bigger, right? So what this does is CLA actually helps to block those enzymes that are causing them to grow larger. It also helps to metabolize fat within the fat cells and boost muscle and strength along the way. So it's a beautiful thing to help with weight loss, lean muscle, and reduce overall body fat. So that is why we add it in the challenge, right? Because that's most people's objective during the challenge, is to get a little bit leaner. So we highly, highly recommend this. I'll probably bring Brooke on too at one point for this. She's a natural with CLA. She's a big advocate of it. That was one of the reasons why we wanted to get it. The second, so we have the whey protein, we have the CLA as part of the challenge bundle. We also have the super greens. So this helps with recovery, with immune defense, with gut health. We have a tropical berry flavor. I think it tastes fantastic. Most greens on the market taste like complete dirt. I think this one tastes really, really good. They're in the raw right now. You can try it out. But what this one does and it has our superfood blend. So what superfoods do is it loads your body with a ton of vitamins and minerals to kind of ward off diseases and just keep you overall healthier. Like way back in our ancestral days, we used to get a lot more superfoods or opportunities for superfoods, and now everything's convenient and nutrients are extracted, things like that. It's just not nearly the food isn't what it is, and most of us don't get the level of veggies and algae and things like that in our diet. So we need to get it from some source. So there's the superfood blend with like wheatgrass and agave and inulin powder and acai powder and coconut water for hydration and cranberry, and there's a bunch of other things, right, that we have in it. So the second part of it, or the second blend within the super greens, is the antioxidants. So antioxidants kind of help to reduce the free radicals within the body, which cause oxidative stress. So that's what causes like aging and certain diseases and things like that. So the antioxidants kind of protects all of that and protects your body from aging and those negative side effects of things like that. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, this is definitely the best one I've ever tasted as well. And same thing with our protein. It's by far the best protein I've ever tasted. And SFH was definitely number one-ish before that. And this one blows it out of the water, especially the vanilla is so freaking good. But then we have the antioxidants. So then we have two aspects of the digestive health. So we have the digestive enzymes and the super mushroom complex. So the mushroom complex and the digestive enzymes together, what they do is they help break down foods in your body so your body can use it, perform with it, assimilate it, and use it a lot more efficiently. So you're going to get a lot more of the nutrients that you're eating on a daily basis and getting from the superfood greens. So you're just going to be filling your body with a lot more nutrients than you were before, just simply from doing that. And a lot of you guys that I've talked to have had gut issues or stomach issues or colon issues, things like that. A lot of times because our body has trouble breaking certain foods down, like proteins, fats, carbs. This will help you break that down and make it easier, which will help with energy, will help with immune system, which will help with weight loss, things like that. And then the last part is probiotics. So this is not only greens, it's also probiotics. So it has 20 billion units, which is about what we recommend for everybody to get per day, which is a lot. So the fact that you're getting 20 billion units of a probiotic every single day within a scoop of this, that's a winner right there. You can get rid of your probiotics there. So taking it with a challenge. Awesome, Debbie. I'm glad you like it. Super greens added to the grapefruit smoothie tastes great. That's a good one, Mo. I like that. That's a good idea. So that's our superfood greens. The last one that I have for you guys is the Vitality. That's our multivitamin. So we have a men's version. So they all have the immune support. So that has like I can never say this one either. The Enchia, however you say it, where it's It helps boost immune levels and it's antiviral. We have garlic, which is antiviral in it. We have the beta glucan, which is antimicrobial. It helps with heart health and lowering LDL, like bad cholesterol. And then it also has spirulina, which is one of my favorite things ever on the planet. It's an algae. It's amazing. There's so many health benefits to it. It's high in protein actually, but it helps lower blood pressure, cholesterol. It helps with sinus and allergies. It helps detoxify our body. It helps with weight loss. Like there's so many different things that spirulina helps with. So they all have the immune support in it. They all, like the men's and women's ones, they all both have the antioxidants in it as well, which I talked about, the oxidative stress, free radicals with aging and things like that. It helps with that. But the men's support, what it has is it has the saw palmetto, which helps with prostate health. It actually helps with sperm production and libido, which is huge for males, especially as we age. Has the lutein with eye health, oxidative stress, and inflammation. And then it has stinging nettle, which helps with prostate health, inflammation, and arthritis. So that's the men's version. The women's support product has 4 things in it as well. It has wild yam, which is like a root vegetable, and has been shown almost like a natural replacement to estrogen therapy. And by the way, guys, talk to your doctor. Like, don't, these are just the studies that we have found, and working with chemists and things like that. But always consult with your doctor. I'm not telling you to stop taking, hormone replacement things like that. But this has been shown through studies to, I'm sorry, I got the wrong one. The women vitality. This has been shown to be a natural estrogen level, or help stabilizing estrogen levels to kind of relieve some of the symptoms of menopause and things like that. The wild yam also helps with like arthritis and pain and things like that. The women's one also has red clover in it, which is an herb that helps with like hair, skin, bone health, nail health. And it also has been shown to help with stabilizing estrogen levels. It also has ALA, which is a compound that's actually made in the body, but only a very little amount. And it has a lot of antioxidant properties, which we've talked a lot about. We're very big on that, especially when you're active. And this helps with like inflammation. It helps with energy production. It helps with weight loss and aging. And then the last thing that it has is cranberry extract, which helps with just overall wellness, but it definitely helps with blood sugar stabilization, which we see a lot with women. It helps with heart health, skin health, but it's really big on helping with bladder and stomach health. And other studies also show that it does ease like PMS symptoms. It's good for like preventing osteoporosis, kind of already mentioned, but like the postmenopausal health and estrogen levels. And it just kind of helps reduce like fatigue and aging and things like that. So that is our women's version of the vitamin. And then obviously all of them have your daily needs for vitamins and minerals. So that is our challenge bundle, guys. If you have any other questions, anything like that, feel free to shoot me a message, email me, let me know. Or if you have a question here in the Facebook group, simply just comment, tag Danny Mullen in it, and I will be happy to answer. But I am logging off for the night, guys. Hopefully you got some value in today. Hopefully you're going to enjoy these office hours every month, possibly more frequent as we go. And as always, ask questions. Let us know what we can do to help answer for you on these, or if you jump on live, answer questions for you there. So that is my spiel, guys. Have a good night, and I will talk to you soon.